Do you feel like he disappeared, but somehow never really left? He doesn't speak, but he watches. He doesn't commit, but he shows up. And even in silence, his presence screams, "Hi, I'm Naira Elowin." And today, you might finally see the obsession hiding behind the absence. Today, you'll understand how emotional control can actually be a disguised form of attachment, and you'll learn to spot the quiet signs of an obsession he won't admit, but keeps repeating. You thought he was at peace, that his silence meant indifference. But what if silence is actually the most controlled disguise of obsession? Avoidant men don't shout, they monitor, they don't say, "I miss you," but they watch everything you post. They vanished from your inbox, but stayed active behind the scenes. You thought he left. He just took his name out of the game, but kept the remote control in hand. In attachment psychology, this pattern is clear. The avoidant pretends not to care, but is emotionally triggered. He just doesn't know how to handle the overflow of emotion. So he disappears. Not from disinterest, but from emotional overload. And that's the trap. You feel forgotten when in reality, you're being watched because he doesn't want to be with you, but he can't stand to see you fine. Without him, he creates a passive yet lingering presence. He reappears at strategic moments, watches your stories, likes an old photo, shows up in places by chance. That's not coincidence. It's a cycle, a quiet trail of obsession. Have you ever wondered why he always comes back just when you finally start to move on? Why he seems to know when you're stronger and acts like he misses you, when really he's just losing control? That's the key. He doesn't miss you as a person. He misses the emotional role he used to play. You've erased parts of yourself waiting for a message that never came, canceled plans, thinking he'd return, looked in the mirror wondering if it was your fault. But let me be clear, his disappearance has nothing to do with your worth. It has everything to do with his inability to handle his own emotions. He disappears because he feels. And when he feels too much, he tries to deny it. So stop waiting for a confession. Start watching the traces. Use the 3-trace method, digital trace. He doesn't talk to you, but still reacts to your content. Social trace. He appears in places you frequent without any clear reason. Emotional trace. He reappears on your good days, as if your peace bothers him. Stop looking for words. Start decoding patterns, because the man who says nothing sometimes says everything in how he refuses to let go. He doesn't say he misses you, but he reacts every time you stop being available. His attachment isn't absence, it's veiled presence. You looked at him and thought, he doesn't feel anything. But what you saw as coldness might actually be fear in disguise. Fear of feeling too much, fear of losing control. Some men don't show affection because they were taught to bottle everything up. They didn't learn to feel, they learned to suppress. So love becomes a risk, connection a threat, and they freeze, pretend not to care, but they're still there, present in the silence, watching from the shadows. You've lived this. He treats you with calculated distance, doesn't respond like he used to, but he's still there, watching, measuring, testing. Psychology calls this the shadow effect. When someone projects onto others what they refuse to face in themselves. He can't admit he feels too much, so he calls you intense. Can't admit he cares, so he fakes indifference. Can't admit his desire, so he pulls away. But coldness isn't always absence. Sometimes it's repressed excess, and you feel it in your body. You know you're not crazy. There's something there, even without words. His eyes still search for yours. His presence weighs on you, even in silence. Here's the hidden mistake: assuming he doesn't care. But what he feels, he just doesn't know how to deal with. Don't think this is about you. It's about him not being ready. And you can't keep translating silence as disinterest. You weren't made to decode someone else's emotions. You were made to recognize your worth and walk away from confusion. He's not cold because he doesn't feel. He's cold because he feels too much and can't handle it. You're not too much. You're just dealing with someone who gives you less than they feel. He doesn't. Like all your photos, doesn't reply to your stories, doesn't send messages. But he's always there. Somehow you feel it. He's watching everything. It's like he lives in the backstage of your digital life, never stepping onto the stage. And that's not absence. That's disguised control. Men who don't want to commit often don't disappear. They become ghost presences, sparse likes, frequent views, fake profiles, alternate accounts. Coincidences that happen too often to be random. That's covert. Control, obsession that doesn't shout. It watches. He doesn't engage, because engaging would show intent. But he follows, because losing track would be unbearable. Maybe he'll never say he misses you, but he notices your every move, knows when your routine changes, sees when you disappear, shows up exactly when you start to feel better. It's a silent, yet strategic presence. He doesn't want to come back, but he doesn't want you to move on either, and that traps you, drains you, confuses you. You start waiting for interactions that never come, overanalyzing every post, every story. Did he see it? Will he react today? And before you realize it, you're a hostage to the invisible audience he created. This isn't random. It's a pattern. Use the passive mapping technique, phantom frequency. He disappears from direct contact but increases digital presence. Cyclical coincidence. He reappears when you're regaining strength. Controlling silence. He never says anything, but his actions shape your behavior. Ask yourself, did he really disappear? Or is he just where you're not looking yet? Obsession doesn't have to speak. Watching is enough. He hasn't forgotten you. He's just present where you pretend not to notice. You're finally moving on, posting smiling photos, picking up old habits, showing up in new places, and suddenly he returns, not with love, with confusion, with vague comments. Messages that say nothing but paralyze you, with "just thought of you today" in the middle of the night, or with silence, and a like on an old photo. That's emotional sabotage, not out of malice, out of instinct. He doesn't know what to do with the idea of you being fine without him. Men like this don't come back to love. They come back to not be forgotten. They can't stand seeing you untie the knot they left, not because of longing, but because of fear of losing their place. It's like, in the emotional theater he created, you're the scene he controls, even off stage. But the day you write a new script, he reappears, demanding lines he never rehearsed. He acts like he wants your freedom, but the moment you take a solid step, he trips over his own shadow and comes back, just to stir the waters. You've lived this, that unexpected call, that unannounced visit, that "I dreamed about you" after months. But notice, he never shows up when you're broken. He shows up when you're almost whole. Obsession doesn't want presence, it wants power, and the greatest power is knowing you still stop your life for him. But you're not that woman anymore. You don't need to prove you've moved on. You just need to stop letting him rewrite your healing with the pen of confusion. He doesn't want you back. He just can't stand to see you free. Obsession doesn't love, it traps, and gets scared when you break free. You're finally starting to move on. You post a smiling photo, revisit old habits, show up in new places, and suddenly, he comes back. Not with love, with confusion, with vague comments, messages that say nothing but paralyze you, a just thought of you today in the middle of the night, or silence, and a like on an old photo. This is emotional sabotage, not out of malice, but instinct. He doesn't know what to do with the idea that you might actually be okay without him. Men like this don't return to love. They return to avoid being forgotten. They can't stand seeing you untangle the knot they left behind, not out of longing, but fear of losing their hold. It's as if, in the emotional play he created, you're the scene he controls even off stage. But the day you start writing a new script, he returns, demanding lines he never rehearsed. He acts like he supports your freedom, but the moment you take a confident step, he stumbles over his own shadow and he comes back, just to create chaos. You've lived this, that unexpected call, that unannounced visit, that I dreamed about you after months. But notice, he never shows up when you're broken. He shows up when you're almost whole. Obsession doesn't want presence. It wants power. And the greatest power is knowing you still stop your life for him. But you're not that woman anymore. You no longer need to prove you've moved on. You just need to stop letting him rewrite your healing with the ink of confusion. He doesn't want you back. He just can't stand to see you free. Obsession doesn't love, it traps. And it panics when you slip away. He doesn't ask how your day was, but he knows what time you leave the house. He doesn't comment on your photos, but he's always one of the first to view your stories, and you start to realize his disappearance is only on the surface. Behind the scenes, he never left. Men like this don't seek reconnection. They seek territory. They don't want dialogue. They want a map. He silently traces your routine, knows where you go, with whom, how you're doing, but never mentions any of it. This is silent obsession. It hides in what's left unsaid, in the absence of words, but the excess of attention. And when you change the pattern, he notices. You stop posting, he reaches out. You pull away, he reappears. You don't react, he insists. It's not coincidence. It's focus. The obsessive brain works like this. It clings to the stimulus. Studies show the same brain area triggered by emotional dependence lights up when someone we're attached to pulls away. He sees you as a stimulus, and every silence from you is a withdrawal. But the real question is he interested in you, or just the feeling you make him chase? Use the inverted mirror technique. Is he reacting to you, or to what you represent? You've felt it before. When things were good between you two, he was lukewarm, but the moment you threatened to leave, he burned hot. Not out of love, but fear of losing control. And notice this detail. He tries to adjust your steps without saying a word. You feel like you're being measured. You sense your movements are noticed, even without any interaction. That kind of nonverbal control is a red flag. You don't need to be silently followed to feel remembered. You need to be respected, including your right to move on without shadows. Presence without commitment is just another form of control. He doesn't disappear, he monitors you. And that's not love, that's a need for dominance. He tries to appear indifferent, as if you were just another faded memory. But the pattern is clear. The more you pull away, the more he reappears. That's false detachment. It's not a lack of feeling, it's a refusal to express it. He doesn't want you to know how much you still affect him, so he stays quiet, but never lets go. It's an internal game where he lies to himself, pretends he's over it but stays alert, acts distant but reacts intensely, and you feel it. You know something doesn't add up in his behavior. He doesn't directly reach out, but he reacts when you get close to someone new. He doesn't talk about coming back, but he watches your steps. He doesn't say he feels, but he always returns when you're trying to move on. This is not a man at peace. It's a man in conflict with what he still feels and can't admit. He says he doesn't want you, but he never fully leaves. He leaves traces, loopholes, subtle presences, and you ask yourself, if he doesn't want me, why won't he leave me alone? Because he's not trying to forget you. He's trying to control the narrative. He wants to look fine while still measuring his impact. This is the root of cognitive dissonance. His actions don't match his words. He acts like someone who's affected, even when he claims indifference. And that traps you, because his contradiction creates doubt in you, and doubt maintains the tie. Don't expect coherence from someone still hiding behind an emotional mask. Pay attention to what he stirs in you. If your peace fades when he returns, that's not love, it's imbalance. He pretends not to feel, but his silent presence gives him away. What he doesn't say reveals the most about how much he still hasn't let go. He comes closer. And for a moment, something inside you lights up. But then comes the doubt, the tightness in your chest, the fear of falling again. That's the loudest difference between real desire and obsession, the effect it has on you. Real desire brings connection. You feel safe, present, whole. Your body relaxes. Your mind quiets. It's light, even when it's intense. But obsession speeds you up, not in a good way. It puts you on edge, makes you overthink, overweight, overfear. When he comes back, what do you feel first? Is it peace or anxiety? Do you breathe easier or hold your breath, not knowing what comes next? That question is worth more than 1,000 declarations. Obsessive men don't return to love. They return to preserve their sense of ownership. They want to confirm they still have power over you, and often they succeed because you still confuse presence with affection. But real desire doesn't play games. It doesn't vanish when you start to care. It doesn't come back only once you've started to heal. It doesn't create insecurity under the excuse of a test. The truth is simple. Someone who truly wants you doesn't leave you confused. You don't need to decode signals when you're in a genuine connection. But with him, everything's a riddle. Everything's a hint. Everything's noise. The reverse body reading technique can help. When he shows up, does your body relax or tense up? Do you want to get closer or protect yourself? Does your gaze soften? Or do you blink more, trying to read the room? Your body knows, even before your heart wants to believe. And that's where the truth lives. If his touch paralyzes you, it's not desire. It's reactivated trauma. If his presence makes you hesitate, it's not tenderness. It's conditioned fear. If you feel smaller when he arrives, that was never love. You deserve someone whose presence calms you, not someone who keeps you at war with your own intuition. Obsession screams, "Notice me." Real desire whispers, "I see you." Does he want you, or just hate seeing you free? If he came back today, would you open the door or open your eyes? You've already seen the signs, already felt in your body what your heart pretended not to know. Watching is not the same as caring. Staying silent is not the same as being present. And coming back is not the same as wanting to stay. You know what to do. You just need the courage to do it for yourself. If this message touched something you hadn't yet named, click subscribe so you don't miss the next truth that might hurt, but also might set you free. Now tell me, what silent presence still holds you back? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. And if you're still missing the strength to let go, watch the video now playing on screen. It continues this journey with the clarity you may still need.